Hi, Alese Linder here. I am not going to play a song this time, but I wanted to talk about something that I think might help some people who watch this. Part of my motivation in creating a YouTube channel was I want to post primarily songs, covers, and songs that I write, but I also want to post some videos on things that I have dealt with that other people might be able to benefit from my process and my journey. I have been on a journey of inner healing since probably 2007 or 2008. And along the course of that time, I've learned a lot of things about my childhood and past trauma, and I've identified the things that I struggle with, and I just want to be really raw and candid with you guys, and I don't want to always be polished and trying to play songs perfectly. I really want to be vulnerable, and as ironic as it is to put yourself out there on YouTube in such a raw way, I think that it's the only thing that makes any kind of fame or acknowledgement or influence worth it, is being able to help people. So today I wanted to talk about body dysmorphic disorder, which I did not know that I have had until a couple years ago. About 2 years ago, I was in a bout of self-hatred, and I started researching online just to mostly get my mind off of the swirl of thoughts that I was going through. And I think I had heard the term body dysmorphic disorder before, but I had never really delved into it to see what it was. So I started looking into what it is considered to be, and the official description of it is a little bit narrow. And as I started to look into more of people's experiences with it, I realized that it's probably not as narrow as it's classified to be. The primary description of it is that it is taking one body part and exaggerating it or minimizing it in such a way that it causes you to feel abnormal. And so I think probably like people like Michael Jackson, for example, had body dysmorphic disorder. But in reading about people's experiences of it more, I realized that it's not just specifically about a body part, but it can be about the way that you view your body as a whole. And I really feel like it's a neurological tweak. It's the only way I know how to describe it. There's probably a fancier word for it, but it's delusion, and it can be as simple as feeling like a giant everywhere you go, or feeling extremely small and weak and little in comparison to other people. When you walk into a room, just feeling inferior, but in terms of like how much space you're taking up. And I have always, not always, but since probably maybe I was 8 or 9. And before that, there was a period of time where my whole childhood I was very active, and I grew up in South Carolina, so we were outside all the time, running around in the dirt and barefoot and riding four-wheelers and tromping around in the woods and building forts and doing all this stuff. And so I didn't really have time to think about body issues at that age. I don't think a lot of kids do think about that kind of stuff. But we moved to Tennessee when I was 7 or so, and during that time I started swimming a bunch. We had a local pool, and I would go almost every day and swim for hours and hours and hours, and it was a passion of mine. It was something that I probably would have done in a greater way if we hadn't moved. We were only there for like an hour. A year, sorry. We were there for only a year, and then we moved to North Carolina. But after that time of swimming so much, I think it was probably as my hormones started to change going into puberty or pre-puberty that I started focusing on my body a lot. And when my body started changing, I would always look in the mirror and feel like a badger, like my body was like this. And so I felt like I had like a badger chest, and I felt like I was just all wrong for a girl. And I started focusing on my weight as I reached like 8, 9, 10-ish, and gained a lot of weight because I was really paranoid about being heavy. And I've had some negative influences from different women in my life that have been really hard on themselves and had really low self-esteem. And so watching that happen and watching just the kind of things that are said and the constant desire to lose weight, which you know, so many women struggle with, and we have so many role models in our lives who have that struggle. And so when we're little, we just pick it up. And so I gained probably 50 pounds. There's pictures of me when I was 10 or 11, and I was really, really chubby. And I was just miserable, and I hated my body. And that was the beginning of a really long struggle of self-hatred. And I would walk into a room, and I would feel like everybody was looking at me, and like I was a giant. Like, you see those cartoons where somebody's like boom, 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 like a big fat person, you know, or a big giant. And I felt like that. Even though I wasn't morbidly obese, I was chubby. I felt morbidly obese. I felt like I was 300 pounds. And I was just constantly aware of the fat on my body and constantly trying to cover it up, you know, like doing this number, which I still have a habit of doing that, of trying to cover up my stomach. And I was not a happy preteen. So I remember turning to the fantasy world of imagining marrying celebrities, and I really loved the Backstreet Boys, and I would dream about marrying Nick Carter and kiss posters of Leonardo DiCaprio, and and I think that there was a baseline insecurity about how I looked earlier on. And so even as a little girl, I think I dreamed about a day when a man would accept me and believe that I was beautiful. And I didn't have the affirmation that I needed in my home. And my family might not totally agree with that, but I'm pretty sure I have an accurate memory of my own childhood. So I am gonna just disregard any disputes that I was spoiled rotten because I was the baby, but there wasn't a lot of positive affirmation in my home. And in terms of beauty and appearance and physical looks, which a lot of people would say that that's not important, you shouldn't even focus on it, which I don't agree with at all. I think that if you're raising a daughter, you should tell her that she's beautiful, and you should point out the things in her that are gorgeous. Tell her that her eyes are beautiful. Tell her that she has amazing hair. Tell her that the way she moves is graceful. Tell her how beautiful she looks when she does certain things. Like, tell her those things. I think this whole movement of like, don't focus on appearance, and which you should build up the qualities inside of somebody. You should tell them how smart they are, and how ambitious they are, and how good they are at doing things, and how good they are at solving problems. Like, of course you should tell people that, but you should also tell them that they're attractive, because every person has a desire to be attractive. Every person. They have a desire to appear positively in the eyes of another person. So I'm harping on this right now, but I just really believe, like, if you're raising children, you need to tell them that they are pleasing to look at. Because it's not just a girl problem. It is also so common with men where they feel too small and too weak and insufficient, and like they do not measure up with muscle size or stature or the look of their face or, their ability to climb or run or jump or lift or whatever it is. Like, guys have body problems too. So anyway, going back to my story. Get off my soapbox. To make a long story short, I have struggled with self-hatred for a long time. But it wasn't until I read about body dysmorphic disorder that I felt like I had this specific thing that I was struggling with. Because you can tell somebody that they have low self-esteem. You can tell somebody that they need to just focus on different parts of themselves and lose weight and do all these things. And you can give people all this advice. But then you have people who lose a ton of weight and they still see themselves as fat. So that is a delusion of the brain. There is something neurologically that's happening there that's causing that person to not see themselves accurately. And that's where body dysmorphic disorder comes in. And so I just wanted to share the fact that I have struggled with this for years and years and years. I still struggle with it. There are days where I don't want to leave the house because I don't want people to see me. And another part of me knows that I'm beautiful, and I know that I have like really amazing traits and qualities, and I get compliments on my hair and my smile and my teeth and my eyes and my eyebrows and all this stuff all the time. But I'm also a little chubby. So I focus on that sometimes a lot more than anything else. Which, by the way, I think that goes back to the whole argument of like, just focus on the things that are good about yourself. But that makes somebody hate themselves more, because you're affirming in that person that they are wrong and that there's a part of them that's wrong that they need to ignore and that they need to cover up and hide, and it makes the whole thing worse. So don't tell people that. It's horrible advice. And it does not help body dysmorphic disorder, let me tell you that. What needs to happen is that people need to hear that they're normal. People need to hear that they are not grotesque and that they don't need to hide. And there is such a body shaming culture. I know that the whole body love and anti-body shame thing is this big trend right now, and that it drives a lot of people crazy. But it is a good movement because people need to stop being shamed for how they look. If somebody has a big, huge nose, no one's going to tell them to go get surgery to fix their nose. No one is going to tell them that. Unless you are the worst person on the planet. And so for someone to tell someone who's overweight that they just need to lose weight is horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. And I have people comment all the time like, oh yeah, just cut back a little bit on your food and just do this or just do that. And I get just really, I almost cussed, I get really terrible advice from people who need to mind their own business. It drives me crazy because like I said, if someone had something wrong with their face, or they had, I don't know, gosh, you can name so many things that somebody could have, and people don't tell that person like, oh, just go get plastic surgery, you'll be fine. So anyway, the main reason I'm making this video is because I want people to know that they're not alone, and it is actually a thing. What you've struggled with is legitimately a disorder of the brain, and there's nothing wrong with you. You're not grotesque. You're not ugly. People don't hyper focus on the things that you hyper focus on. They're not paying attention to you because they have their own self-hatred problems. And I know we hear that all the time, like people aren't looking at you, they're thinking about themselves, but it really is true. It really is true. People are not, they're not looking at these little details that you are obsessing about. And really, like, you have to remember, you think of when you meet somebody and what you notice about them when you meet them. Like, I notice if somebody's really joyful, I notice that. I don't pick apart little things about people. I notice them as a whole person. And I see beauty in people, in all types of different people. And I think for the most part, that's what people do. And if they don't, that's their problem. Like, if somebody is constantly judging people and picking apart how they look, there's something really wrong with them. Like, they have trauma that they need to deal with. They were abused, and or they're just jerks, and they need to deal with that. Like, that's not okay that somebody walks around judging people all the time. But I think for the most part, people see the good things in you. They see the beauty. They see the way you laugh. They see your smile. They see how your mind works. They see the way you articulate yourself. They see all of these amazing things. They see this, like, air of charm around you. And some people have, like, a light that they carry, and they're just, like, beaming with light. And people see that. That's what they see. Or they're so focused on their own bad day that they don't see you at all, which is also not okay. We need to not be so busy. But anyway, I just really, really, really want to reiterate, like, you're okay. You really are okay. And it is possible to grow in self-love. It is possible to learn how to accept yourself. And when you struggle with something like body dysmorphic disorder, there are bad days. And there are times where, like when I started this YouTube channel, the first video that I made, it was I was just testing my tripod. And I watched it, and I was in pajamas. I should have worn different clothes when I recorded the first video, because I've avoided starting a YouTube channel because of body dysmorphic disorder. Because when I watch a video of myself, it makes me want to cry. And when I see pictures of myself, I have had bouts of depression come on just from seeing pictures of myself. And which, happens, I think happens to a lot of people. And so when I first started the YouTube channel, the first video that I recorded, I watched it, and I had a full night of feeling like I was never going to succeed in anything that I want to do, because I want to record music. I want to record music, and I want to be on stages. I would love to be in a band someday or something. And I have been on stages before. I used to lead worship for my old church, and so it's not like I haven't had experience with that. But when it's in the real world, it's scarier, because church people have at least the appearance of being pretty accepting, and they are they're just nicer, like, even if it's fake niceness. Terrible. Let's just be real. Everybody is human, and everybody judges people, but in churches it feels safer. Let's just put it that way. And so going out into the real world, it's terrifying, because I can't really hide who I am, and I'm not perfect, and I will never try to be perfect. And so I watched that video, and I was literally like, I can't do this. Can't do it. I'm not going to do it. And at the end of all of that, I ended up talking to a good friend of mine. And he just reminded me, he's like, you are beautiful. He's like, you are gorgeous. And there's nothing for you to be ashamed of, and you need to stop throwing yourself a pity party, because you have the potential to change the world, and you have the option right now in your hand to start that and to begin the journey, which, you know, of course, like everything you do along the way of helping people and stuff is changing the world. But he's saying, like, in the next level kind of thing, like, you have that in your hands and you're about to step into that. He's like, so just do it, you know, you need to do it. So I ended up deciding that I had to continue, and I had to post videos, and I got over it. Long story short. But I do still struggle with body dysmorphic disorder, and I do believe it's genetic. I think that I think we have predispositions for it. See, here I am checking myself out. Anyway, so I think we have predispositions for things like this, and I think we see it in other family members, and we're raised to think this way, and society conditions us to think this way. And it's not just about weight. It can be about anything that you hate about yourself, and you're okay. So anyway, this has been long. It's 20 minutes, and I don't know if it's helping. I kind of feel like I'm just babbling, but yeah, you need to know you're beautiful. Like, you really are beautiful, and you have so much to offer the world, and hating how you look and judging yourself and that loop that you get stuck in has kept you from doing the things that you were born to do. And so my encouragement to you is to just say, screw that stuff. Just screw it all to hell, and I'm gonna do it anyway. My phone ran out of storage and totally cut me off, but I wanted to finish the video. And I just want to encourage you to reach out to somebody and tell them what you've gone through. I told my life story maybe 20 or 30 times in different venues, because in Christian circles, telling your testimony is a big deal. And what I found was every time I told my story, the pain of it got less and less. And inner healing helps too, like therapy and having people walk you through past trauma and prayer and all that kind of stuff. I'm a big believer in inner healing. And so I just encourage you to do what you need to do to overcome the things that you've gone through, and to really not give power to lies anymore, because that's really what it is believing that you're not normal to the point that you don't want people to be around you is probably the most debilitating thing that you can experience. Maybe not the most, but it is a big deal when it comes to pursuing the things that you want to do and stepping out and being in the world and pursuing a career and all the things that we do to live our lives and make our lives better and have joy. So I just encourage you to not stay in the cycle and to not go around in just these loops that we find ourselves in with our thoughts. And there are seasons where you fall back into old patterns, but you pick yourself up and you keep going and you move forward. And I can definitely say over the last 10 years, there's been significant progress in how I see myself and what I believe about who I am, and knowing that there is someone out there who's going to love me, even with a little bit of extra weight on my body, and the fact that my arms shake when I wiggle them back and forth, and that I have a double chin when I don't put my face exactly the right way, and all these things about myself that I've told myself will keep somebody from loving me, which is a bunch of crap. So anyway, I hope this helped you. If you want to share your struggles or what you've gone through, feel free to comment, and I'm going to put my email address below if you want to reach out to me. I would love to talk to you about things you've gone through and encourage you and pray for you if you want me to, or whatever it is you need. I love talking to people, especially women and young girls, because you don't have to live like this forever. It's not your lot in life, and you have so much ahead of you, and there's so much potential, and there's so much joy available, and just a life full of laughter and peace and gratitude. And so anyway, I hope that this helped you. I hope you have a really good day and go out and do something fun and enjoy your life. Go laugh. Go run through a sprinkler or something. Anyway, okay, I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Mwah.